They're unable to step on land. I knew that, though.
Another wild adventure on the high seas might finally be sailing back into theaters, because the future of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise suddenly looks a lot more active than it has in years. For a long time, the series felt stuck in development limbo. There were rumors about reboots, spin-offs, and possible returns from old cast members, but nothing ever seemed fully clear. But now, a new report is making it sound like Disney could finally have a real direction for the franchise, and it feels like one of the biggest updates Pirates fans have gotten in a long time. According to recent reports, Disney executives are once again putting serious focus on Pirates of the Caribbean, especially after leadership changes inside the company. The idea seems to be creating a movie that captures the energy and charm of the original trilogy while also modernizing things for a newer audience. That is probably the smartest move they could make, because the franchise still has a huge fan base, even though the last couple of films didn't exactly leave audiences blown away. One of the most interesting details from the report is that the next movie may focus on the son of Captain Jack Sparrow instead of Jack himself. That's a pretty massive shift for the franchise because, for over 2 decades, Johnny Depp has basically been the face of pirates. His performance as Captain Jack Sparrow became one of the most iconic movie characters of the 2000s, so replacing him completely was always going to be difficult. But introducing a younger character connected to Jack could be Disney's way of keeping that legacy alive while also moving the story into fresh territory. And then there's the other huge detail people are talking about, which is the involvement of Margot Robbie. For years, there were reports about a female-led pirate spin-off starring her, although updates on that project kept going quiet. Now it sounds like Disney may be combining multiple ideas together into one larger film instead of trying to launch separate Pirates projects. That could work a lot better, because splitting the franchise into too many different directions might have confused audiences even more. Margot Robbie joining the world of Pirates actually makes a lot of sense, because she has the kind of screen presence that can carry a giant blockbuster. She proved that with movies like Barbie and a bunch of other projects where she balanced humor, chaos, and charisma all at once. Pirates movies need actors with larger-than-life energy, because the franchise has always been built around eccentric personalities, ridiculous adventures, supernatural curses, and over-the-top action scenes. Robbie could fit into that world surprisingly well. The reported writer attached to the project is Krysty Wilson Cairns, who has already earned a strong reputation in Hollywood. That part alone gives some fans hope, because one of the biggest issues with the later Pirates films was the storytelling. The original trilogy felt adventurous and emotional at the same time, although the newer entries slowly became more bloated and overly complicated. They kept trying to go bigger and bigger with mythology and magical plot twists, but somewhere along the way, the fun simplicity of the original movie started getting lost. Back when Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl released in 2003, nobody expected it to become such a massive phenomenon. It was based on a Disney theme park ride, which sounded like a strange idea at the time, but the movie worked because it had charm, humor, memorable characters, and a sense of adventure that audiences connected with immediately. It became one of those rare blockbuster films that people kept rewatching over and over again. The franchise also benefited from a really strong supporting cast. Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley played a huge role in why the original trilogy worked so well. The relationship between Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann gave the movies emotional stakes, while Jack Sparrow brought unpredictability and chaos into every scene. Geoffrey Rush's Barbossa added another layer because he could switch between villain and ally so effortlessly. The chemistry between all those characters became a major part of the franchise's identity. But even though the movies kept making money, critics and audiences slowly became less enthusiastic with each new installment. A bunch of people still enjoyed the sequels because they had entertaining moments, huge action scenes, and returning characters, although the excitement wasn't quite the same anymore. By the time Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales arrived, the franchise was clearly struggling creatively. The box office numbers still looked impressive on paper because the movie earned hundreds of millions worldwide, but the budget was also enormous. And critically, it became the worst-reviewed Pirates film. That's why Disney now seems interested in changing direction completely instead of simply making another sequel that repeats the same formula again. A lot of this discussion also connects back to Keira Knightley recently addressing rumors about returning as Elizabeth Swann. Fans have hoped for years that Disney would reunite the old cast, because nostalgia is such a powerful thing in Hollywood right now, but Knightley basically shut down those rumors and made it clear there haven't been conversations about her coming back. What's funny is that she admitted she barely remembers what happened to Elizabeth at the end of the franchise. She joked that Elizabeth should probably just be a pirate, which feels pretty accurate considering how her character evolved throughout the series. Although fans would probably love seeing her return someday, her comments also reinforce the idea that Disney may truly be trying to move beyond the original storyline. And that might be necessary. The biggest challenge facing Pirates 6 is figuring out how to stay relevant in today's blockbuster landscape. Audiences have changed a lot since the early 2000s. Big franchises now compete with superhero universes, streaming shows, fantasy epics, and a bunch of other giant entertainment brands all fighting for attention. Pirates can't rely purely on nostalgia anymore because eventually audiences want something new. That doesn't mean the franchise should abandon everything people love, though. The best approach is probably finding a balance between familiar adventure and fresh ideas. Expanding the mythology could help a lot. There are so many pirate legends and supernatural sea stories from different cultures that the movies barely touched. Instead of repeating cursed treasure plots again and again, the series could explore darker folklore, mysterious islands, ghost ships, or entirely new regions of the world. A complete reinvention could actually make pirates exciting again because franchises sometimes survive by evolving instead of clinging too tightly to the past. There are plenty of examples where long-running series successfully refresh themselves by introducing new generations of characters while still respecting what came before. Of course, the biggest question hanging over everything is still Johnny Depp. Even after all these years, people continue debating whether Disney should bring him back as Jack Sparrow. Some fans feel the franchise simply doesn't work without him because Jack Sparrow is the heart of pirates. Others think Disney should move forward with brand new characters instead of depending on one actor forever. And right now, it feels like Disney itself is still figuring that out. What makes this situation even more interesting is that Depp is preparing for a major Hollywood comeback in 2026. He's starring as Ebenezer Scrooge in a new adaptation of A Christmas Carol directed by T. West. The film is reportedly being backed by a major studio and positioned as a big release, which makes it one of Depp's highest-profile projects in years. And that wraps up today's video. If you want to stay in the loop with all the latest movie and series news, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a big thumbs up, because I'll be bringing you more updates on upcoming movies before they even drop. So keep an eye out for that, along with the latest on your other favorite shows and movies. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.